Market conditions, majority bullish, 14 and 0 on the daily, 14.0 on the weekly as well. S&P futures up 1.6% this morning, so getting a decent little rally here. You can see that green bar confirmation move. Had a bit of a retracement and a pullback last week. Found some support. Demand starting to push higher. We're inside of the supply block right here, but approaching all-time highs on S&P 500. We'll see if we get any kind of follow through or pushing to those upper levels and potentially even breaking out of those upper levels. SP 500 closed out last week on Friday, 13 and 1, obviously getting some strength today. We did see breadth in the market approaching this upper 80 range, pulling back to 70, but it's certainly extended to the upside, and that could add some pressure in the markets trying to push through this upper range here as well. We also saw a pop in the VIX on Friday, and we'll see if we get any volatility and some follow through on that. If we get fading on this, the open, meaning it gaps higher at the open and then starts to sell off and move back, that'll start to show us that there are sellers out there and that they're considering this an opportunity to sell at this premium location on S&P 500. So some increase, just a couple of ticks there as far as some bearish things to be aware of. Upper end of the range on breadth and getting a spike here in volatility. The bond market, short end of the yield curve here, SHY, we're seeing that at majority bearish on the daily, majority bullish on the weekly time frame as that's compressing, starting to move its way bullish here as well. That should be bearish for rates. We'll take a look at those here in just a moment as well. TLT continuing its bearish overall downtrend on the daily time frame, though, seeing that still majority bearish, but getting a couple of bullish ticks here at two to the upside, and it's been churning out, working on this bottom for the last month or so on TLT. The way that looks on rates, majority bullish on at 8 and 6. And majority bearish still on the 2-year, but it had that real sharp run, consolidating, compressing now. We'll see which direction we go. We're at 397 on the 2-year, the 10-year sitting at 443, and it's had some consolidation here. Still majority bullish, but tight compression on that daily, majority bullish on the weekly as well, and that's still the overall trend bias for interest rates, still looking bullish in that overall uptrend. Nothing structurally has been broken on that weekly time frame for the 10-year as well. Lots of volatility in the shorter term as we've had all kinds of craziness in the last couple of months here. Dow Jones Industrial Average, DIA, is the symbol for the ETF, pulling back into that demand block 420 range. Let me just push this over for this. We'll see where we grab on this trend line. Even then, we're still not grabbing that 430. Roughly that range there, so pulling back inside anything above that 416 range, still going to be bullish, majority bullish at 12 and 2, but getting some compression here on the Dow. Some possible divergence here, not quite divergence. Divergence is when you're getting one indicator that's saying here's a higher high, and then if we were to get a higher high on that market and then we're getting a lower high, then that can be considered divergence. But the fact that we are starting to soften at this upper range, we've talked about it potentially looking like the top of this range here. This little pullback, some bullishness, and then more bearishness to come. We'll see if we get that really across the board on all markets. This is just a perspective of the Dow. Triple Qs, NASDAQ 100. Same story right here, upper end of the range, approaching all-time highs. A breakout here of this 540 range on triple Qs could push us even higher. And we've got a little bit of a tick here. It's gapping higher at 531. It moved a little bit lower yesterday as well, but very extended to the upside. Certainly could use a retracement and still be in a good solid uptrend. Not necessarily overly anything to be overly concerned or panicked about. The volatility that we've had has been obviously unprecedented with the tariff issues that have been happening in the last couple of months. IWM, Russell 2000, seeing weakness here, not getting that strength in those small cap names. which is typically a risk on type trade. So still seeing potentially a little bit of concern in the market jumping into large cap, big cap. Even the Dow though has been struggling a little bit. We're just seeing most of the strength come in triple Qs and S&P 500. Oil has continued its overall rally. We talked about it on some of those last updates. I've been out of town. I've been on vacationing with the family, so I didn't do these updates for that week as we were in an RV and enjoying some of that time as well. But we're seeing oil. We talked about this playground range here as it was pulling back inside of that range, pushing to the upper end of these range. So now we just got this solid move in oil back to majority bullish. And on the weekly time frame, let's move that out just a little bit here as well. And you can see just that strength. We had a lot of strength and support around that 50% retracement location, and now really starting to push higher. So we'll see if that moves higher. That obviously would be a bearish scenario for equities. Increased oil just acts as an additional friction point, and it's like an extra tax on companies as they have to, it's one of the resources that go into so many companies, and as that price is increasing 7% in a day, and from 60 back to 80, that's a pretty sharp move in oil. Keep an eye on that. GLD gold has still moving its into this historic run, all-time highs, pushing into even more all-time highs, very expanded on the weekly time frame, daily time frame, and just really a historic run. That's typically a bearish scenario for equities as well. So we're kind of seeing everything moving in lockstep right here, which one of them is going to break. Which one is going to reverse the trend has yet to be seen, but we're still moving higher in gold. Silver also having a really nice move, breakout trade this weekly time frame. We've talked about it over the last few weeks, at least a week or so ago, and that is pushing up above that 3182 range and could get some real momentum here in silver as well. A couple stock ideas to consider. Not very many in that new buy list either. Oftentimes that can be an indication that things may be slowing in this overall trend, and we just don't see a lot of activity in this. But we did there's a couple in there that have qualifying type of moves, or at least moves of interest, and that is DHT, good confirmation bar, increased volume in momentum. That's in the maritime shipping space. Also seeing LPTH having a big move here, $3 stock, increased volume. The larger perspective here, you can see that name has had some runs here from that 2 to 8 range, retraced all the way back. Could be getting some momentum here as well, but that is going to be a pretty volatile type name as well, with really jumpy volume also, so not ideal. And then some gold names that are in there. RGL getting a big move here as it's consolidating and chopping around. RGLD rather, chopping around the upper end of that range. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.